it's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me to tell you, oh, you'll be okay, because you fucking won't. You know, you won't be okay. And so I've kind of housed my message in that, like providing people with the kind of insight that penetrates through the crap, causes them to think, and inspires them into action.
Do you think that people are so obsessed with looking down all the time that your message is one of the few things that you're really shaking it up for them?
Yeah. The biggest transformations I've ever had in my life were painful, right? And they were groundbreaking. They shook me. They caused me to really consider my whole existence, what I was doing. And that's what I assert. I assert that for human beings, if you're really out to change your life, like really out to change it, it takes more provoking than cuddling. Like one needs provoked.
Yeah, you're like a hot prod. Andrew from Philadelphia says that you've been a big help to him as an addict in recovery. Your ideas got him to a meeting and into taking action. And he wants to know, how do you think 12-step programs help people get out of their heads and into action?
Well, I'm going to use an example that I use quite a lot. And, I had a client one time who was really struggling with their body shape, right? They wanted to change the way their body looked. And I asked them, I said, of all the diets in the world, I said, how many do you think work? And they said, all of them. And I said, exactly. So what's the problem? Right?
It's people, not the diet.
Right. It's the people doing them, right? There's something about you. So something like a 12-step recovery program, I mean, clearly, and I'm not really that too familiar with it, but they have this reputation for working for a lot of people. But you have to get fully committed to it. It's like anything, whatever diet you take on, you have to be fully committed to that diet. Or, like a 12-step program, you have to give yourself fully to whatever you're engaging with. And if you give yourself fully to it, you'll surprise yourself at what you can do and get accomplished in that thing.
I know that you're not like a big yoga, touchy-feely kind of person, which I am.
Yeah.
But what they say is, just get on the mat.
Yeah.
Once you're on the mat, you get in the room, whatever it is that you do, get out off your couch and get into whatever the thing is.
Yeah. I think a good way to kind of phrase it for people would be that you spend most of your life in a mode of observation. Like you're just observing what's going on. You're talking to yourself about it. You're thinking about it. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't do it. And you've become a spectator in a game that demands players. And you need to get into action. Action is the single paradigm that moves a life forward. It's not changing your thoughts.
So Kathy wants to know about what kind of parents did you have and how they contributed to your outlook on life. I
had the parents like most people have. That is, the ones that you would blame for how your life turns out. So I had parents now that I can say with complete authenticity and with compassion and love, these were two people that gave it their best shot in this life. The problem was they had this judgmental little kid who just judged what they did and then cherry-picked it and then settled with whatever I'd picked out. And so I held them to account for a lot of my bullshit for a lot of years, until I realized that was just getting me nowhere. I'd become this resentful, hard-working, harsh man.
An angry wad of hate.
Right. And I was just so determined, It was like I lived my life with my teeth gritted. And there was a time that arrived for me when I suddenly asked myself the question, I wonder what it was like for my mom raising that family, what was that like for her? Like, what was it like for her to wake up in the morning and open her eyes and her husband's an alcoholic and she's got 4 kids and she's on welfare? I'm like, how does one navigate a life when that's your future?
Yeah.
And then I got really moved, and then I realized I was an asshole.
Oh gosh.
And that I had something to clean up, which I did. I cleaned my mess up because I realized that I'd stopped loving her. I'd withheld it. I held it back as like a punishment for what I thought she should have done. And it was such a stingy and mean and shitty way to treat another human being who was struggling with their own shit, you know.
She was doing the best she could in the
and
circumstances
I
she was in.
I didn't agree with it all. And there's some things in the cold light of day. Would I do it differently? Of course I would. We're not the same person. You know, of course I would. But I've done things in my life that I wish I hadn't done. Plenty of them. Tons of them. And we've all got them. Really, a lot of what I say to people is, you got to cut out the judgment. You got to cut it out. We're all trying to make it. And some of us are trying to make it in really shitty ways. And others are trying to do it in a good way. But everybody's trying to make it. And if you get people at that level, if you kind of get down to what they're struggling with, you can find a lot of love and compassion for people that one time you might have said you hated them.
How did you fall into this career? Did you always have a passion for helping others, or was it a happy coincidence?
I think it was just the right time in my life, you know. All of this wasn't the plan, you know. The plan was, at one point, this was about a dozen years ago, the plan was like this single person that I'm talking to right now, how do I get them out of this shit? You know, I mean, that was the plan at that moment. And then it was 2 people, and then it was hundreds and thousands of people. And that's really what this is about. Like, what drives me is to make a difference for people. And whether I'm doing it with, you know, the guy who opened the door for me today at the hotel, or whether it's, you know, the Uber driver, or the person in the supermarket, or my kids, or writing books, or speaking to an audience, I'm out to shift people and have them reach for greatness.
I totally relate to what you're saying. Yeah. I am one of those people where I'm really good friends with Michael. Michael is the subway token booth clerk at my booth, and I now know that his break is a little different, and so I have to get there at a certain time so I can talk to him every day. And Daniel downstairs at security, and the guy who sweeps the stoop 2 blocks away from me. If you don't make those human connections, you will lose your humanity, wouldn't you say?
Well, I think so. I think we're way more connected than sometimes we give ourselves credit for. You know, I put this, I'm always putting stuff up on Facebook and Instagram, these little memes to make you think. And anything that I put out, it's pretty definitive. It's designed to box you in and cause you to think. Because if you give people the option of thinking that it's not them you're talking to, they'll take it, right? They're like, oh,
that other person.
I know somebody who does that. No, I'm freaking talking to you. But one of the things that I said was, I don't judge you because I am you. And a lot of people like just ridicule. They're like, you're not me. You don't know me. No, I don't know your story, but I know joy, I know sadness, I know anger, I know frustration, I know defeat, I know failure. I know those as an experience, like you know those as an experience. Like we have that. That's our human beingness. So I guess it's in many ways it's part of the fuel. You know, like somebody at some point said something to me that had a light bulb go off. And I really see it as my job to pass that torch on from person to person to person to person. That's what I'm here for.
There's a few quotes in here. First of all, you make this analogy about the sponge.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of obsessed with that analogy. Let's just tell people how they are living sort of with the sponge inside them. Right.
So if you've read Unfuck Yourself, I talk about the internal dialogue, okay? This is, I'm writing a number of books. This is a really important book in my view of things. This book needed to be written. I don't think it's an easy book to read for some people. I think there's a lot of bad news in these pages for some people, right?
I didn't respond to it that way. Right, I responded to it like it's a wake-up call on every page.
Right, yeah. But there are people I could get, they'd be like, oh, fuck, no, not this. No, I don't want to go there. But in terms of like the whole body of work, it's critical, right? And if you're interested in truly unfucking yourself, this is an important part of the work that you'll need to do. But anyway, in the book, I talk about what we're driven to do subconsciously, and how you manage to arrive at where you've arrived at in life. And I talk about the subconscious like it's a sponge that was once, open and clean and
squishy
and very squishy and spongy, and there are certain things in your experience of life, particularly in that first 20 or 30 years of your life, that you soaked up that by the time you hit your late 20s or 30, that little sponge dried out, and whatever got trapped in there is trapped in there. And it includes like some really fundamental views of things, views of yourself, views of other people in your life. And what's in that sponge is what's driving your life. It's what's driving you in the direction you're going. And I really mean this, like you'll never, ever undo your self-sabotage or your propensity for self-sabotage until you discover for yourself why it's there and what it does and what's the point of it anyway. Because there is a logic to your self-sabotage, and it's quite shocking at times, I guess, but there is a point to it that's designed to do something.
Speaking of designs, somebody's asking about the story behind the design of the cover.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of it was there's tattoos on this body here, but if you look at the statements, it said it's not fair, I'm not good enough, it's too hard, they don't care, I can't do it. And why we used the tattoos was those internalized sentences are like that. They're like permanently tattooed in our subconscious. So it was finding a way to kind of relay that to people, I guess, you know, for them to get a sense of that, their own internalized sentences and the kind of permanence of them.
So somebody wants to know about how people can find confidence, that you encourage people not to wait until the time is right, but to leap for the opportunities they want now. Yeah, confidence is fucking voodoo. It's total voodoo. You said mental strength was voodoo too.
That's right. Confidence is one of these things. If you actually sat for a moment whenever you feel confident about something, right, you'll notice it's an experience. There's like certain body things going on. You're having certain thoughts. All it is really is you're looking at something and it triggers something with you that you've either done before or you've seen somebody else do before. And so you have this kind of like thought that you can now do this thing because you've either done it before, like that. So confidence is an experience. And it's part of the problem with being a human being, I feel, is if we try to repeat experiences. But that alone is a problem because all the great things you've done in your life, you started those things with an absence of confidence. So, and then you took care of what you needed to take care of, and then confidence arose. So I encourage people, look, it doesn't matter how you feel. The question is, are you acting in favor of something? Are you doing something that's in favor of something great or something that calls you out? You're not always going to feel aligned with what you're up to in life. You're a mishmash of emotions. They come and they go. I talked to you about this earlier. Some of the greatest things I've ever done in my life, I did it with a negative mindset. I did it all along the way. I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's too much. And I fucking did it. And I want everybody watching this right now to know that you can too. There's nothing remarkable here. This isn't some fucking genetic freak of nature or something. I'm like you. I have the same thoughts and fears and, you know, all that stuff. The only difference is I've become pretty facile at coexisting with it. I'm not really interested in changing that. You know, the more you throw the fuel on the fire, the longer it lasts. And I'm more interested in just living with the fire and existing with the fire and, you know, getting on with living a great life.
And somebody'd like to know, what was the most challenging thing about writing the book? And somebody else wants to know, what were you surprised to learn when doing research for the book?
Yeah. The most challenging thing about this book is it's a really complex thing that I'm talking about, and how to deliver it in about 40,000 words. It was really like, it was a process of just getting everything in and then removing and removing and removing and removing. I mean, I probably wrote 120,000 words and then removed and removed and removed until I had something that you could sit on the subway and read.
I love sitting on the subway. I read it.
Yeah.
You know, I have the international edition here because I'm carrying it around with me all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the subway, so proud to be reading this book. It's fun. So if anyone takes the train, this is a great book to just proudly read and
Yeah.
let people know they should stop doing that shit too.
I love it. And I think like if there's anything I would say to people about this book and that I'd really want them to get, there's stuff in here that if you when you understand it, when you've uncovered it, because I ask you like really penetrating questions in this book that only you can answer. No one can answer it for you. I can't answer those questions. You can. But when you reveal them to yourself, there's a whole bunch of your shit is just going to make sense to you. You're going to be like, oh my God, how did I never see that, right? But you know, my view is that we're a bag of bones that talks, and
You say that right in the beginning of the book. I like
right,
that.
right, and whatever that bag of bones talks about, that's the life that it lives. But most of what you talk about, you're not present to it, and it's automatic. Now it's all trapped in that little sponge, and so this book is definitely about revealing. And Unfuck Yourself was definitely about cutting through and inspiring. This book is more about educating you, about really informing you of something and giving you something to put your feet on that you can understand yourself with.
But I don't necessarily think you have to read this one after the other one. You can definitely read them in reverse order if need be.
Right.
But they're both so clear and so clean. There's a cleanliness about your writing that's like you've scrubbed it. And now I understand that you started with 120,000 words and you just took out all the stuff that just clogged it and just threw it to the side. And that's what, and even the font in the book is really clean to read. It's this beautiful, slim letters.
Yeah.
I find it very soothing to read your book.
Yeah.
Just read it over and over every day. Someone would like to know, what is one of the proudest moments other than right now in your career?
It's always so in my career I would say it's the emails. It's the like I spoke at an event last night in Chicago, and somebody was there and they said, you know, they were going through a divorce and they were thinking about going back to the person. And they read Unfuck Yourself and they were like, what the hell, what am I doing? And now they're like, they're getting divorced, they're refinancing their home, they're going to, you know, they're taking the life on, they're empowered. Like, you know, when somebody tells me that, like, you know, I just go to bed that night a better man. And so in terms of my career, it's all the little moments when I'm present to the victory that it is, and that people have managed to make the change that they wanted to make just because I said something.
Someone would like to know, would you do it all over again? And if yes, would you change anything?
Yeah, there's not a thing I would change about my life. Like, everything was, it was hard when it was hard. It was challenging when it was challenging. And there are things in my life that are still very, very challenging. And there were things that were unbelievably painful. In some ways, you know, there's things that I might say, well, that's helped for me. But no, there's not a thing in my life that I would want to take a different direction with. You know, even being a musician, it was brilliant, but I just never made any freaking money at it.
This is one of my favorite quotes from the book. You are in a perpetual state of fucking yourself over so that you can repeatedly save yourself from what fucked you over in the first place.
That's right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you know, if you look at your life and you look at the cycle of self-sabotage, you'll see that the nature of the kind of trail is that you're constantly fucking yourself to save yourself, right? So you'll fuck yourself, and then you'll work your way out of it, and then you'll fuck yourself, and then you'll work your way out of it. And there is a logic to it. It seems completely insane when you say it that way, but there's a complete logic to it. It makes sense when you put the pieces together.
Are there things you look for when someone comes to work with you that are key markers in knowing if a person is ready for change?
I mean, you can pretty much tell when you tell somebody what they're going to need to do, right?
And you mean their reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say they want change, and then I'll say, well, go forgive your mother. And they're like, what the fuck? I'm not that bitch. She ruined my fucking life, right? And, oh, okay, so do you want to change or not? You know, or whatever it might be, whatever the thing might be. Because believe it or not, we are very fond of our misery, right? That's one of the reasons why it perpetuates. We're very fond of it because this misery that you're in, you get to survive it. It's a shit existence, but you make it. And when you offer somebody the alternative, which is the unknown, like that you could be anybody, like you would no longer have the gravity of the life you've known, that's so intimidating that people retreat back to the bullshit. But I want people to know it's not personal to you. I mean, everybody says they want their life to be better, yet they keep doing the same shit every day. Like, I want this, I want that, I want that. I'm just not doing anything about it. But I want it. I'm definitely doing it. I'm not fucking doing a thing, but I'm definitely going to, this is going to be big for me. I'm going to make a lot of money, and one of these days. But there's no action moving that game forward. At some level, you got to realize you're lying to yourself. Like, you're not telling yourself the truth. Like, you've got way more commitment to the shit you're in than the future you say you want.
Because you've created the shit you're in, so it's yours.
And there's a comfort in the kind of stodgy warmness of the bullshit you're swimming in,
I love that, stodgy warmness. Somebody wants to know, do you find that working with people in different socioeconomic environments affects their willingness to seek a better life?
It depends. I mean, I've met a lot of people. See, it just sounds like I'm pitching the shit out of this book, but I'm not. There's a part in this book where when you see the framework, you'll realize why some people get out of it and some people don't. And it's got nothing to do with the environment. And it's got everything to do with what they concluded about it. Right? So some people are in that environment and their experience of themselves is that they're helpless. And that helplessness is fucking real for them. Like, it's real. It's like, it's got them by the throat. And there's other people in the exact same environment who say, I'm getting out of it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm getting out of this. And they do. What's the difference then? And the difference is, what's at the heart? Like, what's driving it? Right? So my view is often, and my approach is very often counterintuitive. It's not like a straight line. Some of it will make a lot of sense, but some of it goes against how you and I have been conditioned to think, if you like. It's not like there's a person conditioning us. There's just a condition we live in. But that we're conditioned to think in a certain way, like everybody else is. Some of this flows against it. But if you allow yourself the room and the grace to think about what I'm saying, and there might be sections in this book where you're getting charged, like you feel like you're getting irked, right? Or bored, or whatever the thing might be. You got to allow yourself to have that so that you can really ponder it. I invite people to take this book on, read a bit, sit and stew in it, maybe write something down, go back, read a bit, stew in it. There's a continuity in this book, right? Unfuck Yourself wasn't like that. We talked about that. You could just pick a page and go to it. This is very different. When you get a hold of this book and what it's saying to you, there's just going to be a lot of ahas for you, and a lot of just like I said, a lot of making sense of stuff that once upon a time made no sense to you.
You talk a little bit in the book about karma.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. I mean, whatever life you're in, whatever you're doing in life, I really view things as like being on a spectrum, okay? So that is, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, right, if I want to get married to somebody, what I'm buying into is the possibility of divorce, right? Now, it doesn't seem like I'm doing that as I'm saying I fucking do, right? Like, I do. Oh my gosh, no idea how much I do until I don't, right? Until like I don't anymore. And that's like symptomatic of everything that we do, right? So if you get the job of your dreams, you're buying into that you're going to get disappointed. So it's part of the deal. You don't get to just cherry pick it, right? Because even the job of your dreams comes with, a couple of wheelbarrows full of bullshit, that you never saw coming, right? Because you cherry picked it, right? Oh yeah, that job's going to be great. And then 6 months in, you're like, this is a nightmare. Get me out of this. Maybe I should work for myself. That's how, work for myself. That'll be amazing, working for myself. And then you work for yourself and you're like, oh, this is terrible. What was I thinking? It's too much. So I want people to get like the wholeness of your life, like all of it, not just the bits that you want. And that what you might think will be the answer will come with its own kind of karmic bullshit, right? It'll come with its own little brand of what you weren't expecting, right?
So it's your job to recognize that and be like, oh, there's that karmic bullshit
there it is.
Again. Thanks.
Right. It's like,
move on.
Right. And see, but then I can fully be at the source of it. I can fully get like, this is my choice. Right. Because it seems like when we get into certain things in life, well, I didn't want this. I know, because you never fucking thought about it, right? You never want like, hey, this could not be good. This could go that way too. And I want people to know I do that with everything in my life. Like when I get involved in something, I'm all in. Like I'm all in. I'm not just in for the good stuff. I'm here for all of it. And what that allows me to do is be powerful with all of it. So I get to be powerful when it's not going the way that I thought it would go. That includes, by the way, things that I thought could happen and the stuff that I never saw coming, because I include that in my thinking. So there's this, it's good, that not so good, that's terrible, and then the shit that I'm not going to see coming, I'm buying into all of it.
That is life-changing.
Yeah.
As a parent, too, like, you know, that is such a great lesson to tell your kids in this, you know, world of whininess and over-entitled bullshit that comes up every day.
Yeah.
You know, hey, just try seeing something from a different perspective,
right?
Because it's not so bad. Someone is saying, I love your grit. We need more of that in our politically correct America. Well, that's very true. Did you hesitate at all in determining the title of your books? Because I think we would all be better off if we would just call our mess exactly what it is.
Well, when I wrote Unfuck Yourself, there's a lot of fuck books out now. Have you noticed that? Like lots of fuck books.
Yes, we publish many of them. We love the word.
And it's great. I'm all for it. I mean, but when I wrote Unfuck Yourself, there weren't a lot of them around. You know, I self-published first. I just put it out there and see if anybody would dare buy a copy. But so calling my book Unfuck Yourself was a barrier, right? Because you know, none of the social media channels would let me advertise it, right? Because of the curse word. Amazon wouldn't let me advertise it, you know, and I get it, you know, like they have certain, you know, protocols that they stick to. So it was a challenge that, like, I could get why somebody might look at a book like this and think we just called it that to be sensational. It certainly wasn't the case with Unfuck Yourself, because it was a problem to call a book Unfuck Yourself. It was a big problem. So the reason why I actually didn't hesitate then and I don't hesitate now is that I don't want to be left with that I should have done something else. I don't want to write the book that somebody else wants me to write. I have to be left at the end of this life with that I gave it everything that I had. So calling the books what I call them, that's just the way it goes. And if you don't like it, I get it. Don't fucking buy it.
Well, also, you're writing the way you speak.
Right. I mean, you probably noticed I've got a couple of curse words or 74.
I don't mind it. I worked in newsrooms for a long time. If you didn't curse, you better get out of the newsroom.
Well, somebody else, you know, told me there's a massive difference between trouble and fucking trouble, right?
Oh yeah.
so curse words to me are like the hot sauce of language. You know, used in the right way, they can bring life to an otherwise jaded.
What's the difference between working with men versus women?
Nothing. They're human beings. They have different emphasis, but believe it or not, and I know that again flies in the face of a lot of like maybe psychology or, you know, whatever. But men experience the same ways of being that women experience and vice versa. So they experience joy, hate, love, aggression, apathy. They experience all of those. And that's part of what makes my approach very simple for me, because I don't focus on your circumstances or your roles in life. I focus on your expressions. And men and women share the same expressions to different degrees.
So I know the answer to this. Somebody wants to know, please tell me you're narrating the audiobook.
Yes, I am. I wouldn't have anybody else do it. I'm crystal clear that I get away with a lot because of this. There's a lot of things I can say to you that you'll let it in because I sound this way. That if I sounded different and I said the same thing, you'd get all 7 shades of fucked up. But because it sounds like this, it's like, oh, okay. I think for some people in the darkness of their subconscious, they think God's got a fucking Scottish accent. So that if I'm saying it, it's like, oh, this sounds important. I should be listening right now.
Do you ever wear a kilt?
I've been known to shake the kilt out every now and again. It's kind of like it. For a Scottish man, it's like a tuxedo.
So with the knife and are people
it's called
really,
a ski and do.
And they're really naked under the kilt? I just wanted to know that. I never knew about that.
Well, there's it's not naked. It's just you'd be naked if there was supposed to be something there.
Okay. I'm going to ask you 22 questions in 2 minutes.
All right, let's go.
Okay, quick. Who would you like to have dinner with, past or present?
Viktor Frankl in the past, and in the present, I'd like to have dinner with my wife.
Which one, Game of Thrones or Stranger Things?
Oh, good. Very good. I'm going to go with Game of Thrones, though.
Favorite breakfast food?
Nothing.
Yeah, you're into intermittent fasting.
That's right.
I'm with you on that. Favorite genre of music?
Oh, fucking rock and roll, man. Like AC/DC, Sex Pistols, like everything in between. I mean, look at this fucking cover. Jesus.
Who was your idol growing up?
Oh, that was good. When I was a very young kid, it was Elvis Presley. So I was little. And then as I got older, it was Morrissey at the Smiths.
Favorite international cuisine?
I'm going to be really freaking boring here. It's Italian. But proper Italian, like go to Italy and eat. It's something else
Florence
over there.
pasta.
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
It's unbelievable.
Favorite candy bar?
Snickers.
Favorite season?
Winter.
I totally disagree. Favorite childhood memory?
It was watching, I'm a big soccer guy. I'm being polite here calling it soccer because the word is football.
You can call it
But
that.
I was watching football when I was a kid, so I was a big soccer fan, and I still am. And my favourite team are a team called Celtic. And when I was a kid, I used to go to the games, and I'd get lost in it. I was totally it was like a place where I could escape.
Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
I didn't have one. I think I've got a few now, though. But no, I never really had that kind of vivid imagination.
Favorite animal?
Dog.
Yes. Go-to workout?
Couch.
Stop.
No, it's playing soccer, actually. I still play a bit.
Did you coach your kids' teams?
No, my kids are way too good to be coached by me. And I'm a pretty decent coach, but my kids are good. They're way better than I was at their age.
What do you never leave home without?
My wallet.
Favorite superhero?
Iron Man.
Favorite time of day?
2 o'clock in the morning.
Why?
Everybody's in their fucking bed.
Have you ever ridden in a hot air balloon?
No, not doing that.
Why not?
I'm just not into the whole notion of somebody, what's keeping you up there is a bit of fabric and a fire.
Yeah.
They don't go together. They're not even fabric and fire. No. What are we doing?
What is your favorite board game?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably Monopoly, actually. I like Monopoly. It's a good way to be sneaky.
What are your favorite pizza toppings?
Pepperoni. All the time, every time.
Do you or did you have a favorite teacher?
Yeah, I had 2 favourite teachers. Both of them were English teachers, actually. Miss O'Rourke and Mr. Mulligan. And I had a French teacher who was phenomenal. And those 3 human beings really influenced me in ways that it's only in the last 5 or 10 years I've come to see, and the way that they shaped me.
Have you reached back out to them? Are they around?
No, I mean, I'm very old, so yeah.
Not that old. They might be.
I was fishing for a compliment and I got it, so that was good. But anyway,
how old are you?
I have 52.
So they could be in their 70s.
I think they are, actually. I recently met somebody who met my old French teacher, so I'm going back to Scotland in a little while here, so I think it might be a good opportunity for me to reach out to them.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. They would be so proud and appreciative that you remembered them.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Do you like movie popcorn with or without butter?
I like it with butter and a liberal sprinkling of peanut M&Ms in there.
I like that.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite author?
Oh boy, that is a freaking great question. I mean, I could be really boring and say Shakespeare, you know, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our fools have lighted their way to this dusty death. I love Shakespeare, but I might go with Hemingway, actually.
Oh, yes. Thank you. The sun also rises.
Yeah.
Love Hemingway and Shakespeare. My daughter is just finishing her first year of college, and for her final English paper, she wrote a 10-page paper on feminism in Macbeth.
Oh!
I said, I'd like to read that.
Something.
Please send that to me. I'm very curious.
I'm allowed to say Macbeth because I'm Scottish.
Yes. Well, I'm allowed to say it because...
You don't give a damn?
No. Who has impacted you the most?
My children.
How so?
Like, they just, every day they call me to be a greater man. It's like I have to get me out of the way of this thing. So I'm not interested. I mean, I really believe this is a really great way for any human being to live, is to be in the kind of thinking of disappearing. That is, removing what's in the way, rather than trying to fix what you think's broken. And so every day in my relationship with my children, you know, I wrestle with removing what's getting in the way. And sometimes I win and sometimes I don't, but it's a hell of a game.
What advice do you have for Harry and Meghan on the birth of Prince Archie Harrison? He's not the prince necessarily, although I guess suppose the Queen could decide it was okay to call him a prince.
Yeah. Somebody asked me a while back if I would write a book on parenting, and I think I'm going to do it. It's not about children, it's about what it is to be a parent.
Yeah.
And the first thing I think you need to really give up as a parent is the notion that you have any fucking idea what you're doing. And I think you need to be authentic about that with yourself and others, including your kids. Like, look, and I do this with my children. Look, dude, I'm fucking making this up right now. So, and we're going with it, right?
Well, by the third one, though, you do have a little sense of what did or didn't work on the other two, at least.
Yeah, you might know what it's like to kind of fumble around in that kind of first few years of life. But even the first one is now going to be facing areas of life that you've just now. I mean, how do you talk to somebody who's 14, right? Like, you know, when you're 52, like, so. But I'm authentic with my children and unbelievably loving. So I tell my kids I love them all the time. I hug them all the time. We are a very loving and connected family. I get pissed off at them, you know, and I hold them to account for their BS. But at the same time, the overriding love conquers all. Love fixes everything. Love, and if there's anything that's ever in the way of me loving my kids, I will give that thing up in a heartbeat.
And the amazing thing is that this is such a loving book. Stop Doing That Shit is not an angry rant. It's actually a book that teaches you how to love deeper, how to love yourself deeper, how to love life deeper. If you would just stop doing that shit and stop sabotaging yourself every day. And I just think it's a beautiful book. I'm going to read a little bit of it every single day. I'm so excited and proud that I've got the chance to interview to you today. Just want to remind people, if you go to premiercollectibles.com/Bishop, you can get a signed copy of this. We're going to sign off now, and then Gary's going to sign the rest of these so that y'all can get them later. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you.